Rabin is recognized for 5 minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Chow. Any big construction project, say nothing of a $1.5 trillion infrastructure package, relies on an efficient and cost-effective freight delivery network, especially trucks, to help build it. And for the past 8 months, I've been working hard to do something about the ELD mandate, the electronic logging device, which I believe is not only hurting our economy, but making our shared goal of rebuilding our infrastructure that much harder. And I acknowledge, though, that while there are serious issues with the cost, security, and reliability of ELDs that we're already seeing, the bigger concern here is the underlying hours of service regulations and the inflexible enforcement of them triggered by an ELD. Professional drivers often identify the current, the current HOS requirement as counterproductive and an impediment to safety improvement. Crashes are up, for an example, by 56% since 2010, and drivers say they're often forced to drive when they're at times of high traffic congestion, bad weather, tired, fatigued, and they want flexibility. So while I would continue to strongly urge you, Madam Secretary, to direct a waiver from this ELD mandate for all sectors of the trucking industry, not just livestock, as we've heard today, I would like to get your perspective and hopefully your commitment on steps that we can take to modernize and add some common sense to these hours of service regulations. And my office is working right now with outside stakeholders on a solution that would provide for the same 14-hour window of service, but with additional flexibility for drivers to take their rest hours when they want and when they need it, not as weather and traffic conditions permit, and ELD tries to tell them to do so. Can I have your commitment to work with us and your team to explore these sorts of options, either through the regulatory or the legislative process, Madam Secretary?
I'm very sympathetic to this issue because I come from a rural state. But the ELD issue and the waivers is tied into the hours of service, which is the underlying legislation. Right. We are very much constrained by the law. So we look forward to working with you, and there will be other people on the other side on how to handle this.
I understand, but even those on the other side have a problem with the hours of service. And a lot of this could be, I think, taken care of if we could give some flexibility to some of our drivers.
It was tightened up in around 2010, 2011. And so
but
I'll be more than glad to talk with you about all of it.
Absolutely.
I think we need to replace her.
Because as I said earlier, traffic crashes with trucks are up 56% since 2010. Another question. The state of Texas recently invested millions in a new state-of-the-art Center for Infrastructure Renewal at Texas A&M University. This focuses on all aspects of infrastructure renewal, and from new materials to workforce development to cybersecurity. Can you speak to your agency's strategic plan for engaging with industry and academia to bring innovation and sufficiently trained manpower to our nation's infrastructure agenda? Specifically, your plans to partner with existing comprehensive facilities like our own Texas A&M CIR I mentioned to maximize public-private investment and partnerships to ensure innovation and sufficiently trained manpower fuel our infrastructure investments of the future.
Well, these transportation centers, research centers, and universities all across the country are very helpful. I'm afraid the Secretary of Energy has beaten you to this particular point.